In this video we're driving on this road, and further up the road in the lane that we're in, there is a tow truck assisting in our RV, and we need to be looking further down the road to identify that something is in our lane, there's an obstruction in our lane, and to avoid having to go right up to the obstruction and then doing a lane change. Now the student saw the obstruction late, and they also looked into their left side mirror and realized that there are vehicles approaching in the lane next to them. So they wanted to do a lane change. You could kind of see that there just now. They were starting to drift a little bit to the left and realize, hey, there's another car behind this car that they need to wait for as well. And so the right thing would have been not to necessarily rush up to this tow truck, but slow down and wait for a safe gap to switch into this lane. So they did finally make it into this lane, but it was a bit abrupt and also a bit last second. So the main idea is right around this bend, when if they were looking further down the road, they should identify, hey, something is going on over there. I see flashing lights that's telling me there's an official vehicle on the road. And so we automatically, whether this lane was obstructed or not, we want to give them one lane of space if it's possible. So if there's two lanes here, we should switch over into this lane, even if they were just completely on the shoulder here. So again, signaling early, shoulder checking early, slowing down a bit if needed to be able to do this lane change a little bit earlier, so that we're not right by this tow truck and then doing the lane change over. So you will run into situations like this on the road, and the main idea, again, it doesn't matter if you've been driving for 2 weeks or you've been driving for 20 years. The main idea is to look further down the road so you can spot hazards before they become a problem, and that you can deal with the obstruction in advance. It's the same idea if you see a bike in your lane, like a cyclist in your lane, and they don't have a dedicated lane. It's better just to do an advanced lane change over rather than getting right up beside the bike and then trying to either squeeze past them or suddenly do a lane change over to the left. Same idea with tow trucks, same idea with buses stopped at a bus stop. Sometimes students come right up to the bus and stop, and then they go, should I change lanes? And I usually tell them, there's no point now. What you should have been doing is looking a block down the road, realizing there's a bus in your lane, doing the lane change over to the left in advance so you're not dealing with that bus at that bus stop. So doesn't matter the type of obstruction, but the main thing though, if you will, is that the first go-to thought should be, okay, I didn't see the obstruction in advance, or the obstruction suddenly popped up. Let's say something suddenly blocks your path. The first thing that should come to mind is not to swerve into another lane. The first thing that should come to mind is, I'm going to match the speed of the obstruction. So in this case, the obstruction is completely stopped. I should think that, okay, if I've missed the fact that this was in my lane in advance, that's okay. I'll slow down and match the speed of the obstruction, and when it's safe to do so, I'll switch over into the other lane. We don't want to just suddenly steer the steering wheel to another direction.